Fate of Toretsk and Chasiv Yar decided. Breakthrough to Dnipropetrovsk region happened earlier than expected. Good day, dear friends. As I promised yesterday, we thoroughly analyzed the situation in the Kursk region, and today we'll discuss developments on other fronts. There's a lot of news, and spoiler alert, the situation for the armed forces of Ukraine is becoming increasingly dire. Let's start with a major city that has almost entirely come under the control of Russian forces, including its suburbs. I'm talking, of course, about Toretsk. Take a look at this map. It's even more telling than my words, but let's dive into the details. It's important to understand that Toretsk is not a small town. Its pre-war population was 86,000 people, and the population of the entire metropolitan area exceeded 100,000. Despite the urban landscape, Russian forces are advancing not by tens, but by hundreds of meters daily. Yesterday, there was a significant breakthrough in two areas. First, on the flank near Sherbinivka, Russian forces broke through Ukrainian defenses, pushing forward units back to Klyukivka in the Pokrovsk area. They captured the first streets, with an overall advance covering about 1 square kilometer. This progress is strategically important, as Russian forces aim not only to capture Toretsk, but also the surrounding villages. Ukrainian armed forces' presence in these areas would complicate further advances westward, toward unifying with the Myrnohrad grouping, or northward toward the city of Kostiantynivka. However, an even more significant breakthrough occurred in Toretsk itself. Looking at the map again, you'll see that yesterday, Russian forces completely expelled the remaining Ukrainian garrison from the northern and western parts of the city. The territory marked in red is now under Russian control, including the area from the central market and a critical height, the spoil tip of mine number 10. Previously held by Ukrainian forces, this position was taken. The Ukrainian flag was removed, and the Russian flag was raised, a moment captured on video. The overall advance, from the city's outskirts to beyond its northern boundaries, spans over 1.5 kilometers. While this area is primarily composed of low-rise residential buildings rather than dense multi-story developments, it's still urban combat. Currently, Ukrainian forces control only the Toretsk mine, its spoil tip, and a few streets in the nearby private sector. The remaining positions are held largely due to the advantage of high ground. However, as the remaining parts of Toretsk fall under Russian control, the assault on the mine and its spoil tip will begin in the coming days. Once these positions are taken, Toretsk will fall entirely under Russian control. My prediction remains unchanged. This will likely happen by the end of January. Moving on, there's another detail to note in this area. Russian forces have pushed Ukrainian positions back by 1 kilometer from the Siversky Donetsk-Donbass Canal. The territory now under Russian control spans just over 2 square kilometers. Next, we turn to the situation around Pokrovsk. There has been progress on both the eastern and western flanks of the encirclement. On the eastern flank, Russian forces advanced to Baranivka and Vodiane Druhe, but have not yet begun assaulting these villages. They also moved toward the Kramatorsk-Pokrovsk highway, but were unable to secure the route itself. Following a Ukrainian counterattack, Russian forces retreated to positions 1 kilometer from the highway. Although not directly controlled, the highway is now under full fire control, making it impossible for Ukrainian forces to use it for supplying their garrisons in Myrnohrad and Pokrovsk, without risking strikes from artillery or drones. On the western flank, the advance of Russian forces has slowed. They have not yet begun assaults on Zverivka and are instead trying to push forward from the Volkhov and Solone lines toward Kotlin and Udakne. From their current positions, Udakne is just 2 kilometers away. This village is strategically significant as it hosts Ukraine's largest coal mine, the Pokrovsky mine. Losing it would deprive Ukraine of 30% of its budgetary income, a major blow. More dynamic progress has been reported south of the Pokrovsk front. Along this entire stretch, from the village of Ukrainka, Russian forces advanced to Yaseneva with reports of fighting in the area. Slavyanka has also come under Russian control. From this expanded front, covering the Slavyanka-Petropavlivka-Shevchenko line, Russian forces are now advancing toward Andriivka, a large village with a pre-war population of over 1,000. Reports today indicate that forward units have reached the outskirts of Andriivka. This does not yet mark the beginning of assault operations, as the village's significant garrison means Russian command is waiting for reinforcements. As for other fronts, there have been no significant changes. South of Kurakhove, in this pocket, Ukrainian forces are holding their defense positions in Yantan. Credit must be given to them. They are holding their ground with remarkable resilience, digging in deeply and refusing to retreat. Reports indicate that they are holding these positions because there are many wounded Ukrainian soldiers in Dakna located here, and evacuation is currently impossible. The garrisons stationed further south are doing everything they can to halt the Russian advance, preventing them from approaching Dakne or encircling it on a broad front. Regarding Velika Novosilka, it has been reported that Russian forces have captured the settlement of Neskuchne. Gradually, the Russian army is shrinking the logistics opportunities for the Ukrainian armed forces, cutting off pieces of territory bit by bit. Moving on to the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces are continuing to expand their control around the settlement of Dvorishne, thereby enlarging their bridgehead on the western bank of the Oskil River. According to incoming reports, Russian assault groups have made significant progress northward, crossing the Nizhnya Duvrichna River and securing most of the Dubrivka neighborhood. This information has also been confirmed by the pro-Ukrainian resource Deep State, which notes that Russian units are steadily increasing their presence in the area, bolstering the region with manpower. Additionally, Russian forces are exerting constant pressure on the neighboring settlement of Zakidne. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces are facing a shortage of resources, particularly personnel, to effectively counter Russian advancements, let alone fully dislodge them from their established positions on this bridgehead. On the Krasnolimanska front, Russian forward units cleared several forest strips and significantly expanded their control over the western bank of the Jerebets River near the settlement of Makiivka. This information has been corroborated by footage published by the Ukrainian side showing FPV drone strikes on advanced Russian positions. As a result, over 1 square kilometer of territory has come under Russian control. Furthermore, separate sources report that Russian units have advanced up to 500 meters in the direction of the settlement of Hrekivka. On the Chasiv Yar front, according to reports, Russian assault groups successfully occupied several industrial facilities on the territory of the refractory plant in the city center. Additionally, Russian forces regained control of several previously lost positions near the southeastern mine east of the settlement of Stupochki. This information has also been confirmed by footage published by the Ukrainian side showing FPV drone attacks on advanced Russian positions. On the Kurakhove front, the northern and eastern flanks remain unchanged, but on the southern flank, Russian forces have reportedly begun an assault on the settlement of Yantan. Currently, fighting is taking place on the eastern outskirts of the village. On the Kharkiv, Siversk, and southern Donetsk fronts, there are no significant changes to report. Now to the situation in the Kursk region. In the northern part of the Sudzha district, Russian forces are continuing a strong offensive. According to available information, Russian units have made significant progress eastward and have reached the western outskirts of the settlements of Orlovka, Novosorochina, and Stara Sorochina. Intense fighting continues with Ukrainian forces in the settlement of Poroby. Additionally, it has been reported that Russian troops have regained control over the settlement of Alexandria. Simultaneously, the majority of the settlement of Ruska Porechna has also come under Russian control. This information has been corroborated by footage from the Ukrainian side, showing artillery strikes on advanced Russian positions in the settlement center. That's all for today regarding the frontline situation. Wishing you all a pleasant weekend. Take care of yourselves.